Welcome back to the Gregory Neesmith Show, where we get personal about the news and the culture. Shout out to the underdogs, to my people, and even the occasional Trump supporter that might have accidentally found the show. If you did accidentally find it, stay tuned and talk about some stuff that might be good for you. And you know what we do here. We put politics, culture, personal development, put it in the blender, mix it all up, and it spits out a special delivery of underdog stuff. And this ain't CNN, this ain't Fox News, this ain't MSNBC. They cover the news, they commentate about it. But here at the Gregory Neesmith Show, we do that. Plus, we get personal about it. And today's theme is throwbacks and makes me wanna holler.
Stefan Clark! 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 Stefan Clark!
We get personal about the news and the culture here. I remember being a little kid growing up in Philly. And shout out to my parents, Henry and Hallie Neesmith. And I'll never forget when I was gotta be like 10, 11, something like that, getting in trouble for something. And I'll never forget my mom said to me, if you can just make it to 21, my dad and I think you'll be okay. And I remember being a little kid thinking to myself, what? If I could just make it to 21? What did that mean? And why does she have so much anxiety and fear and look on her face as she said it to me? And I didn't really know why, right? I'm 10, 11. I'm like, what's this big deal about me making it to 21 these next 10, 11 years? And now that I'm older, I know that it was because my mom felt like that whenever I would step outside, that there was a chance that something could happen to me. And maybe sometimes because maybe I would do something silly or stupid, foolish. But also now I know that she was worried that maybe even if I didn't do anything stupid or foolish or out of bounds, that something could still happen to me. And so oftentimes referred to as the talk. And you know, when you're 10 or 11, I didn't know that it was called the talk. But my parents had several talks with me. You know, say no to drugs. Keep your hands to yourself. And be respectful as possible whenever you're encountered by the police. And so then I still thought to myself, why did my mom have so much anxiety and fear around me making it to 21? If I could just make it to 21, everything would be okay. I'm a pretty calm and laid back dude. I don't want any problems. So I'm thinking, why is my mom so stressed? I'm like, yeah, Mom, I'll be respectful. Yeah, Mom, I'll not mess with drugs, you know. So why are the anxiety and fear? Well, it's because no matter how respectful or thoughtful I may be as a black man, that danger could still come my way. But that's only half the story. Because what frustrates me the most, or one of the things that frustrates me, is that I don't feel like this topic just gets me. So being respectful isn't enough. And so I think that's why I know my mom was anxious and scared for me, is that she knew that even if you follow all the rules, things may not work out. And we saw again this week where being black gets you unfairly treated by the police. And I'm talking about, actually, the scary thing is, right, you don't even know what case I'm talking about. Am I talking about the Alton Sterling verdict? Or am I talking about Stephon Clark? Or am I talking about the many other cases that have happened? But I'll start with the Stephon Clark. I just... There's a James Baldwin quote that I posted the other day that I just wish would be outdated and go away. But it seems that even decades later, these words are still true. And James says, to be a Negro in this country and be relatively conscious is to be in a rage almost all the time. And I'm talking about the Stephon Clark case where police shot and killed him. He was unarmed, shot in his grandma's backyard. It's reported that officers were responding to a 911 call that reported someone was breaking car windows. There were 2 officers that reportedly fired a total of 20 shots at Clark. The Sacramento County Sheriff's Department helicopter responded during the event. They said that they saw a man armed with a toolbar in a backyard and directed police over to him. The police thought that the object that he had in his hand was a gun. Turned out it was a cell phone, and they shot him. Now, I know some people will say he brought it on himself. Some people might say he was out there reportedly committing some type of crime. He provoked or caused the situation. I'm not having it. I'm tired of this skin making me have to be perfect or a superhero for things to be okay. Dylan Roof shot 9 people in a church. And I think they took him to McDonald's and then took him to the police department. I'm tired of having to be perfect. And even being perfect doesn't guarantee me anything. I'm tired of having to be a graduate of Harvard University, a man with no scandals in his background, married to a wonderful woman with 2.5 kids, and barely people think he should have been President Barack Obama. But yet it's okay for the dude we got in there now. I'm tired of having to be perfect to even have a shot to be treated fairly. And even when you do the right thing, you still might not get treated fairly. He can't be the first person that those cops have ever encountered after the reports of some type of crime happening. But yet, an independent autopsy shown that he was shot 8 times and mostly in the back, 3 times in the lower back, twice near his right shoulder, once in his neck. I didn't understand it when I was 10 or 11 when my mom said, if you could just make it to 21, if you could just get through these years where something could happen to you. And yeah, I made it to 21 and past that, but Stephon Clark didn't make it past 22. And this is one of his family members.
I want to ask you, if I can, Ms. Thompson, just broadly here, what do you say to those protesters, the young men and women in the streets of Sacramento and, frankly, in other parts of this country right now, protesting after the loss of your grandson? What do you say to those young people out there?
I want to thank you because we're going to get justice. I want you and everyone, every mother that's going through what we're going through. I'm a grandmother, every grandmother that's going through this. And my daughter, she is so... This is unreal. It's just unbelievable. I mean, he was shot down like a dog. I mean, they didn't have no message. I mean, just stop. I mean, 1 time or 2 times, but 20 times. I mean, it was terrible. It was terrible. Right now, I'm having dreams about my grandson. It's all kind of things. And my granddaughter, she's scared. She's shaken. His sister is only 7 years old. That baby is, we got to go get help after all of this.
That was Stephon Clark, grandmother. And you would think, right? This seems to continue to happen all over the country. Feels like it should be not just a Sacktown issue, but a national one, right?
There were no charges against the police officers in the Alton Sterling police shooting. What does the president have to say about that, particularly as he is a strong supporter of police? And then you have the issue, we're in the midst of that issue that happened, that fatal shooting of the young man in California behind his grandmother's house with a cell phone.
Certainly a terrible incident. This is something that is a local matter, and that's something that we feel should be left up to the local authorities at this point in time.
Feel about that? He was strongly behind police. He supports police, as much of America does, but wants to weed out bad policing. What does he say about weeding out bad policing when you continue to see these kinds of situations occur over and over again?
Certainly, we want to make sure that all law enforcement is carrying out the letter of the law. The president's very supportive of law enforcement. But at the same time, in these specific cases, in these specific instances, those would be left up to local authorities to make that determination, and not something for the federal government to weigh into.
Oh, we don't want to weigh in now, right? So last week, and you know, one of my mantras, an unwritten rule of underdog stuff is don't be dismissive of anyone's pain, and don't compare your pain to someone else's, because this ain't a competition. But we just marched for our lives last week. Last time I checked, Parkland, Florida is in Florida. That seemed like a local issue too, right? But it's a national one now. And we got everybody out here pushing for school safety and gun rights. Marches around the country. Seemed like a local thing that turned national to me. So I'm not here to compare one's pain to the other. And I'm not a believer in either or. So this isn't a comment about either or. We can care about Parkland, but don't tell me that we can't also care about what happened to Stephon Clark, to Alton Sterling, to Philando Castilla, and the names go on, and Mike Brown, and on and on and on. And don't tell me those are local issues. So when's the March for Black Lives Matter in Washington? I'll wait.
Stephon Clark! 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 Louder! Louder! Stephon Clark!
You know, I try to be as clear and transparent with you guys as always. This is an emotional topic for me. I guess it's one of the challenges of when we get personal about the news and the culture, that it's personal. One of the things that often comes up in my business consulting and leadership coaching experience is that while it's in the end, you know, I do want to find solutions. I want to move forward. I want to take action. But there's also times when sometimes what's needed is the opportunity to vent, to just let the emotions run over you, run through you. And we'll talk about some stuff we can do. But if you just want to get something off your chest, if you just want to have a moment to just be tired and frustrated, you can take that moment right now with me and with the other underdogs out there. You know how I'm going to end the show. If you've listened to the show before, you can actually hopefully say this along with me. And that is, underdogs, can't nobody, and I mean nobody, can't nobody do it like you do it. Nobody. Peace.